Well, hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel. So I'm in a little dilemma right now. I got two programming languages that I need to learn. I'm not just sure which language should I start off with first, C or C++. I read a little bit in C++ in my C++ book, and I also read a little bit in the only C book I got. Now I thought about it, not I think right now, but I thought about it. C is good because it's a small language. So as a starting language or starting learn it in developing software, C is a good place to start if you're learning in software development, right? C++ is also not a bad place to start. It's actually also a great place to start. So I in a dilemma. I'm not sure which programming language to start off with first. The main reason that I want to choose C is because it's a small language, and it's quite simple. The other main reason I don't want to choose C because of strings. You really can't put a string without an array in C. Okay, so unlike C++, you can basically write a string, and there's a special object, the string object, right? One of the reasons I don't want to choose C is because you really can't write a string in C without this complicated or overly expressed manner, where you have to put it in an array and then write your string. Another reason I don't want to choose C, well, I only got one book in C. And let me just show it right here. This book. So I really don't. I got nothing against the book, but I prefer a more a more thoroughly written emphasis into the C programming language. This is more like teaching you by example. It shows you an example, tells you what's in the example, and how it works within the example. Some people learn that way. I have a hard time trying to grasp the actual language through that kind of means. So I don't want to read that book. It was actually my first programming book ever, but I don't want to read it. After reading through a lot of books or skimming through a lot of books, I found that other books, they do give examples in their chapters, but this book is based only on example, teaching through example. Okay, so another reason for the C++ language that I want to choose C++, a majority of my books are in C++. Like I got both volume of these. So thinking in C++ volume 1 and volume 2. And I read a little bit in volume 1 and like a paragraph in volume 2. And that is one reason I want to choose C++. It helps you, like if you're especially new, it gives you detailed explanations of if you do this with a certain a thing or a token or anything that is in the language of C++, this might happen, and if you do this, this will happen, and basically can't do this unless you do this. So it kind of gives you like a definition of how to think thoroughly in C++. Even though it's a hell of an old book, okay? I also got the C++ standard library, the whole book. I also got C++ templates. I think I showed down already. So, yeah, most of my books are about C++ or have something to do with C++. Now, I'm not sure which one to pick. C is great. C++ is great. The only weakness I got towards within starting out with C is I only got one book in C. One book. And it's not my learning curve, or sorry, it's not my learning style. The kind of this book, like it's not really my learning style. Like I want to learn by um, um explanations of what's in the programming language, um, definitions of certain topics, thorough categories of what are certain things like functions are, and not to be taught by way of example, by giving an example and saying, okay, so this program, because the weakness in this is that you only have one program or maybe two as an example, and not every software is developed based on that kind of program. Like if you have an array, for instance, like the chapter in arrays, it gives a few examples with different variations in arrays, right? And if you're gonna learn it, what's in arrays, what are arrays in C, it should be through the definition of what arrays are and explanations of what arrays are and the different properties of arrays, right? Not by way of example where it just shows you an example and tell you this is why this worked and this is why this is ran and this is why this is done this way in that example. If I only had another C book, I would have started out on C. And I really don't know which one to choose. Now, I'm leaning towards C++ because of that book, the C book. So, yeah, that's what I've been like going through in the last days. Not like since my last video upload, but after a while, I started thinking, okay, well, now I can't read both languages at once. I have to choose one. And it came to, a disadvantage that I only have one C programming book, a C language book. So I'm going to give myself like 2 more days. I'm really, in my heart, I'm leaning towards C++ because I find it more available for me in front of me, right? By the way, I got another table, like a shelf here, and I got all my books here. I kind of took my books from there and put them here, right in front of me. So anytime I sit on this desk desk right here, I sit on it and like I actually read. I put my laptop on this side and I sit here and I start reading on it. Yeah, I've been doing that in the last couple of days. Okay. Before I used to go take the books to my bed and like read while I'm laying on the bed. Okay. By the way, if you all don't know me from the channel, I actually live on a farm in the countryside. Okay. So you might hear like a rooster sometimes. You might hear cats fighting sometimes. You might hear birds. My window's right there. Okay, so you might hear birds. And you might actually hear sheep and sometimes cows. Not only that, I live like right near a military base, an air base. Sometimes you might hear jet fighters just flying by, one after the other, one after the other. So, yeah, and there's nothing I can do about that. Nothing. So, I might upload another video to which concerning which language I'll choose. I might just say what the heck and order some books on C. But who knows? But I think I'm gonna lean towards C++. So up and until our next time, thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening, and goodbye, YouTube.